You're certain it happened. That day in high school when your crush winked, the smell of butterscotch in grandma's kitchen, the argument with your best friend before graduation. Everything feels vivid, emotional, immovable, real. But here's the secret, it didn't happen, or at least not like you remember, because your brain doesn't save information like a hard drive, it rebuilds it every time, and that makes your memories more like painted illusions than fixed truth. Welcome to part 1, why you're remembering a fake life. This isn't about lying, it's about uncovering how your identity, your entire story, is based on reconstructions that your own brain might have fabricated. If someone asked you to recall the day your childhood dog died, you'd likely describe the setting, the pain, maybe even the look on your mother's face. You feel sure, certain, emotionally convinced. But here's the study. Your brain isn't pulling up a past recording. It's recreating that event from scraps, auditory cues, smells, emotional tone, and even the meaning you attach to it later. That moment you remember might be more story than fact. Neuroscience calls this reconstructive memory. Every recall activates your hippocampus and prefrontal cortex, blending what you truly lived with what you now believe. These include sensory details, emotional attachments, and unconscious assumptions. Each time you revisit a memory, you're not re-watching an unedited film, you're remixing it. That creates emotional certainty, not accuracy. So when you feel 100% sure, you might only be 100% certain of your constructed version. Your brain hates ambiguity. It prefers complete narratives, even at the cost of truth. So when details are missing, like the way a room smelled or what someone wore, your mind uses predictive filling to patch the holes. It sweeps through related memories, what others told you, what you saw on TV, even what you imagine, and blends it all in. This process is thanks to your brain's Bayesian logic, always adjusting expectations based on prior input. But that creates false completion. An example, two of you recalling the same afternoon movie premiere might both insist the actress wore red, even if she wore turquoise, because red fits in the movie premiere script your minds have built. So your brain isn't lying, it's optimizing. But the result, a memory more convenient than truthful. Strong emotion stamps memory. A traumatic breakup or joyous graduation creates a high level of certainty about details, even if they are inaccurate. That's because emotional intensity triggers high cortisol and norepinephrine levels in your brain, which override normal encoding processes and create flashbulb memories. Compelling, confident, yet often unreliable. Studies have shown that traumatic recollections can later become invasive nightmares, not because they're factual, but because your brain wrote a belief-laden drama and convinced you it's real. Source confusion is a phenomenon where you remember an event but forget where it came from. Your mind merges memory with imagination. You might clearly remember talking with your grandmother, even though the conversation happened in a dream. That mental image becomes your truth. This distortion is easily triggered by vivid mental rehearsal, something therapists sometimes use for healing, but it also makes fake memories feel as real as genuine ones. A seminal study by Elizabeth Loftus found that as many as 50% of participants falsely confessed to events that never occurred when suggested by another. When psychologists blurred the line between real and imagined, your brain is a powerful storyteller, but that also makes you the prime reader of its own tall tales. False memories don't live in isolation. They echo within groups via the misinformation effect. One person mentions a red banner at the party, and suddenly half the group remembers it, even though records show none existed. Later, your brain adopts that shared memory as its own, and it fits your narrative. We all were there. It happened. But it didn't for you, so your personal history is now linked to someone else's imagination. Your memories become social property, and they can be borrowed, corrected, or stolen without your consent or awareness. Belief bias means your brain is wired to favor memories that support your self-narrative. I was always that good at math, and disfavor conflicting ones. I failed that midterm. Each time you recall, your brain, via the prefrontal cortex, filters details through self-image that retroactively edits your memory, making it conform to "you are the person I remember," even if it's not quite correct. So even your core beliefs become memory editing agents. All these cognitive quirks, reconstruction, filling, emotion bias, source confusion, misinformation, belief bias, they add up. And the consequence is profound. Your personal past may be partially artificial. You're holding stories that never happened or never happened that way. And because memory is identity, that means part of who you think you are may never have existed. But here's the crucial part. This isn't pathological. It's universal. Almost everyone experiences it, but believing your memory is perfect gives you false confidence. Accepting the fragility of memory gives you freedom. If you're feeling shocked, that's expected. The idea that you're living with false memories is destabilizing, but it's not destructive. Awareness is power. And tomorrow, in part 2, we'll dive even deeper now. How your brain architects alternate timelines, splitting your identity into multiverse like possibilities hidden in plain sight. But for now, be kind to yourself. Your memories aren't lying, your brain is just living and remembering. Fade to credits, subscribe. Next episode drops next week. Part 2, How Your Brain Architects Alternate Timelines. In part 1, we dismantled your trust in memory, revealing how your past might be imperfect, even partially fabricated. But if your recollections are editable, what does that mean for you? How many you exist? Today we ask, is your consciousness living across multiple mental timelines? Because your brain doesn't just misremember, it creates whole alternate realities, and sometimes you slip into them without noticing. Close your eyes and recall about yourself 5 years ago. A shift descends where you lived, who you believed you were, what you were chasing. That version of you, your past self, may not even exist anymore, except inside your mind. Neuroscience shows the brain uses superpositioning, holding multiple self models concurrently. You're the 18-year-old idealist, the 25-year-old hustler, the 32-year-old parent, all at once. Each recalls the past slightly differently, and each can rewrite it. It's not fantasy, it's cognitive multilayering built on your neural architecture. Inside your skull lives a silent committee: ego, fear, desire, memory, each fragment of self vying for influence. That inner tussle explains why you can remember yourself as both bold and broken, or both betrayed and brave depending on the mood that day. This isn't abstract. Functional MRI data have proven when we imagine an alternate self, the same neural networks activate as when we actually live that self. You don't just think you were someone else, you experience it as real. Quantum physics offers haunting parallels. At the subatomic scale, particles exist in a web of multiple potential realities until they are observed collapsing into one outcome. Some theorists suggest consciousness itself collapses internal timelines. Moment-to-moment decisions finalize which identity becomes you. That means before you chose your major, your partner, your religion, versions of you still exist holding other outcomes. They influence how you feel now. That gut punch, that wasn't just regret. It was your mind brushing against a version of you that lived differently. Now let's reconnect with emotion. Emotional salience is the glue that tags these alternate selves with their own emotional timelines. When a song plays, a smell hits, or you open your old bedroom door, it's not nostalgia. It's your brain swapping timelines. We anchor memory to emotion. That childhood heartbreak still exists in another version of you. And when triggered, it floods your present with its energy. That's why certain places or songs can toss you into emotional extremes you haven't felt in years. Now mix in social reality. We form shared memories with others, memories that may have never happened to you, but feel true because you were told them. That becomes the group's timeline. You don't just have personal alternate pasts, you also overlay your identity on communal ones. That can split your selves further, your personal self, the family self, the social self, all with their own memory contingencies. And when they clash, your sense of coherent identity can fracture, or at least feel unstable. This multi-self architecture, misremembered pasts, parallel emotional lives, communal rewrites, can feel unstable or even frightening, but it's also adaptive. It allows your brain to flex, to imagine, rehearse, narrate, forgive, reframe. In trauma therapy, people visit alternate versions of themselves to heal. In business, vision boards are glimpses into future selves they want to inhabit. All of this is your brain tapping into its own internal multiverse. So how do you live well with multiple yo-yos? Here are 3 practices to ground your coherence. Narrative integration. Write one narrative from multiple selves to align your identity. 2. Emotional check-ins. When a trigger hits, ask which past self is activated and why. 3. Reality sanctification, or create rituals that close alternate loops, journaling, mindfulness, creating art which cohere your memory brain systems. These aren't spiritual shortcuts, they are neurological tools that keep your internal timeline from fracturing. Your mind is not singular, it's a multiverse humming inside your skull. And yes, you are all of them, but this is not a disorder, it's your power. In part 3, we'll go further. How to collapse regret and move through time, using quantum coherence to choose which version of you lives next. Stay tuned and subscribe to actualize your full multiverse self. Part 3. How to collapse regret and move through time. Regret is more than sorrow. It's a quantum anchor pulling your mind into timelines you don't want to live. Part 1 dismantled false pasts. Part 2 revealed the many cells within you. Now, it's time to collapse regret and move forward intentionally. Temporal bind is when your past loop holds your present hostage. You keep replaying, I should have said yes, or I should have left earlier. Not because the event hurts, but because your brain keeps reloading the same unreal version of it over and over. That loop is a quantum trap, your mind stuck in a state of uncollapsed potential. Instead of existing in this moment, you're stuck in a memory timeline that never resolves, which means your future self never takes hold. Neuroscience maps regret to your ACC and dorsomedial prefrontal cortex, areas linked to self-scrutiny and rumination. Every time you replay regret, these circuits amplify emotional pain and reinforce the loop. But here's the twist. Remembering those loops also strengthens the neural pathway itself, which means the harder you replay, the stronger and more automatic the loop becomes. This is why even a minor mistake can spiral into a cascade of self-loathing. Not because the event was huge, but because your brain made it a permanent fixture. Quantum collapse is the act of bringing a timeline to an end. In physics, observation collapses infinite potential into one reality. Psychologically, conscious awareness can collapse regret into resolution. Here's your process. Observe, hold the regret in mind. Don't avoid it. Allow, feel the emotion without judgment. 3. Explain, name what you needed then and why you did what you did. Close. Say mentally, this chapter is complete, and physically place a hand on your heart. 5. Intend, imagine your future self unburdened by this regret. Each collapse weakens the neural loop and shifts your timeline forward. Quantum coherence is when your current state aligns with the version of you already living the future. Neuroscientists call it enactment imagery. People who vividly rehearse future selves neurologically activate the same areas as if they've already lived it. Here's how to build that. Visual clarity. Write your future self's daily outline. Emotional tagging. Feel the future emotions as if now. Micro-enactments. Perform a small act your future self would do. Morning routines, gratitude notes, leadership gestures. Repetition. Daily consistency strengthens the neural scaffold. This isn't daydreaming, it's neural time travel. To anchor collapse and coherence, you need ritual. That's the bridge between mind and body. Choose something symbolic. Closing a journal with your written intention, walking in silence toward a sunrise, or even simply drinking water with deep attention. These rituals tell your nervous system, let go and move forward. Over time, the ritual rewires your autonomic response, defaulting you away from past loops and into present energy. Regret isn't your enemy, it's a needle that pinpoints what matters to you. Each loop signals something's unresolved. So instead of regretting, ask, what's the lesson hiding in this pain? Maybe it's courage, maybe it's honesty, maybe it's forgiveness you owe yourself or someone else. Use those discoveries to build a new storyline. Turn regret into narrative horsepower, not emotional block. When you collapse the grief, resync with your future self, and ritualize the letting go, you don't just stop living in regret. You empower yourself. You live the truth that it's not your past that defines you. It's the internal coherence you hold now. This is the architecture of inner alignment, and it frees your mind from timelines that never served you. You've dismantled the false memories. You've discovered your internal multiverse. Now you've collapsed regret and aligned the self. In part 4, we disrupt guilt, shame and fear, the deepest shame walls the brain builds, because there lies real liberation. Pray, journal, breathe and subscribe. Your future self is watching. Part 4, how to escape the shame-fear circuit. On the surface you might feel fine, but underneath there's an undercurrent you can't see. Guilt, shame, fear. They're not emotions, they're neural prisons wired into you by years of lived experiences. In part 1, we question truth. Part 2 revealed multiple versions of you. Part 3, collapse regret. But this is the final confinement that needs to be broken. The shame-fear circuit. Shame isn't guilt. Guilt says, I did something wrong. Shame says, I am wrong. Neuroscience shows shame lights up the insula and amygdala, triggering intense self-judgment and physical pain in the chest. Evolutionarily, shame kept us bonded. Anyone who broke tribe rules was shunned. But now, you carry that silent code, uncertain, self-critical, deeply trapped beneath a perfect facade. Fear isn't only about external threats, it's the predator inside. Conditioned responses from childhood that still control you. Fear hijacks your autonomic nervous system via the amygdala hypothalamus axis, leaving you reactive before your conscious mind can intervene. That's why you might freeze in social moments, avoid confrontation, or sabotage yourself just when success is within reach. Here's the deadly synergy. Shame prunes shame driven behaviors. Fear prevents you from trying again. Every misstep triggers shame, which fuels fear of judgment, which stops you from acting. That loop is your mind's secret Scrooge, turning progress into paralysis. But loops can be broken if you understand the mechanism. In quantum systems, the act of observing collapses superpositions and sets them on new trajectories. You can do the same with your fears and shame. Use awareness to collapse the old timeline and choose a new one. Start here. Observe, notice shame, fear signals, tight chest, inner voice of not enough. 2. Name, say it out loud. That's shame. That's fear. 3. Separate, realize they are not you. They're old brain patterns. Redirect, ask what truth contradicts this lie. Fifth act, take a small step toward that truth. Do the opposite of what shame fear wants. To change neural default behaviors, you need repetition and emotion. Use micro rituals. Naming shame, tug fear each morning. I am not my fear. Light exposure and breath rituals to calm the amygdala. Speaking truth to yourself out loud. Marking micro wins. How? Surrounding with safe emotional witnesses. Each repetition is a quantum feedback pulse, rebuilding your identity on new neural architecture. Broken shame fear loops aren't rare, they unlock radical creativity, deep connection, resilience to failure, inner sovereignty without aggression. People who unshame themselves don't just live differently, they rewrite culture. Their existence alone challenges old paradigms. Here's a daily framework. Wake, 5-minute fear of shame scan. Write. Today I take one shame-driven task and do it anyway. Move, posture shift, sway or walk in defiance of fear. Reflect, night practice, hold blessings for every flash of shame, such as fear today. This practice rewires the deepest brain patterns and uproots long-buried emotional anchors. You're no longer a victim of your past. You are the architect of your mind. In part 5, we build on this freedom, unifying false memories, multiverse selves, regret resolution, shame fear liberation, creating uncut coherence so you live with full presence. Orthodoxy dissolves when your inner circuits light up with truth. Subscribe and bring that ignition. Part 5, Becoming Whole, integrating your mind's multiverse. Welcome back. In part 1, we exposed false memories. Part 2 revealed your inner multiverse. Part 3 showed how to collapse regret. Part 4 liberated you from shame and fear. Now, we bring it all together. This finale is not about a technique. It's about becoming whole, aligning each part of you into a coherent, resilient, real self. This is where fragmented timelines converge, false narratives dissolve, and your true frequency emerges. Everything you've done so far was part of remapping. You rewrote false memories. You met all your versions. You collapsed regret loops. You broke shame and fear chains. Now we create an integrated map, a neural narrative that connects these modules intentionally. Why? Because your brain solves everything through networks. Individual rewiring is great, but without integration, those new pathways remain isolated islands. Coherence requires bridges. So here's the path forward. 1. List the key insights from each part. Draw a mind map, connect false memory, multiverse selves, collapse events, fear nodes. 3. Reflect. How did each insight shift your identity? 4. Write a unified paragraph. This is who I am now. This map becomes your living identity. Revisit it weekly, reinforce it. It's your internal GPS. You've met 4 foundational selves. Memory self, the one we revealed is partly false. Alternate selves, your inner multiverse. Regretted self, your collapsed regret. Embattled self, your shame fear freed self. The final ritual. Create 4 candled oppositions. Sit quietly. Name each self, allowing presence for 30 seconds. Say, I see you, thank you, you're here to help. Resolve, now we walk as one. Extinguish candles slowly, signaling unity. This ritual literally trains your brain to stop psi splitting. It aligns default mode into a single coherent self state. Now a guided integration. Find stillness. Close your eyes. Breathe 3 conscious breaths. Visualize waveforms collapsing into a single beam. Mentally say, I collapse into my full self. Sense warmth in your chest. Stay for 5 minutes. When open, notice how you feel lighter, centered, stronger. This meditation uses the observer effect to collapse fragmented frequency states within you, turning many possibilities into one steady waveform. True integration happens when you externalize it. Stand in front of a mirror and say, I hold my past, my many versions, my learned lessons, my freer present, all in alignment. I don't need to prove who I am. I am who I am. Do it daily, record it. Over time, your own voice aligns with your integrated identity. Integration is useless if you don't act from it. Take 3 commitments. 1. A difficult conversation you've avoided. 2. A creative impulse you've suppressed. 3. A self-care boundary you've ignored. Do them from your unified self-state, not from shame, fear, regret, or insecurity. These become coherent actions. They wire your default appointment with alignment. Your mind has fought this your whole life. Reintegration triggers resistance. Old shame might whisper. Old fears might flicker. Regret might pop back in. But coherence can be resilient if you maintain your rituals. Weekly map reviews. Daily integration meditation. Monthly candle ritual. Immediate reset during stress. One breath to align. This isn't a one-time fix, it's an ongoing frequency calibration. Watch what happens when people encounter you in this state. No defensiveness, clear presence, unshakable calm, emotional gravity that draws others. This is not power drama, it's inner coherence. You're no longer fractured, you aren't fractured. And once people sense that, everything changes. Work, love, clarity, calm. You started this series fragmented, seeing through lies, shadows, loops. You end it whole, wielding an architecture of mind unlocked by memory insight, timeline mastery, regret collapse, shame, fear, freedom, and now quantum coherence. You've done the deep work. Now live with the new frequency. Live aligned, live coherent, live free. Thank you for joining me. If you've been transformed, share this with someone who needs coherence. And know this, your mind is liberated. Let it carry you.